which is combined with your emotion, right?
Yeah. Thank you for that elaborate, discussion on that. But talking about the different roles which you have mentioned as a, writer, editor, and translator, I just want to focus there and try to ask this question that when it actually comes to the practice of writing and editing, how do you negotiate between these two roles as a writer and as an editor? Because these also requires two types of reading and two types of engagement with the text. So,
Yes.
yeah, how do you negotiate between these?
Yeah, you see, as the my writerly self demands that it comes out of, something that might trigger my imagination and emotion and commitment, as I was talking about. And if I am engaged, sometimes it could be just a twinkle in the eye of a child, maybe, or it could be a news item that has caught my attention, or it could be something that I may come across, a butterfly, trying to come out of a caterpillar or something. Something in which I get involved and I want to quickly, want to relate with it. I want to identify with it. And then I want to I build upon that. And then I catch that phrase that comes, the first phrase that might come to my mind. And the rest of it is freedom of my imagination. It may have started from that point and it may go to the other end altogether. It may be starting of life to the end of life. Maybe I can think of that butterfly coming in the form of somebody ancestor who died in my family, maybe. And it is coming alive through that butterfly. I don't know what it might become. The freedom of imagination, I'm letting myself go. There is a free range of it. When it comes to editing, I cannot do that. I have to definitely commit myself to the text. What is it dictating? What is it saying to me? And what is the intent of the text? Right? If I don't reach at least to my mind, you know, I see the editor would have to have a almost like a collective consciousness of the writer of that text, along with the readers, not readers. And I, as the editor, would be the one to intervene to further refine the writerly vision of the other, right? Now, many times I ask myself this question when I am trying to be, I think of it as, my intervention. I would obviously venerate it. I would think of it as better than the writers, right? But that is where my challenge lies. I have to ask myself, am I right? Or was the writer in the original text writing it in the perfect way and I'm spoiling it? Am I distorting it? Right? So I have to be very careful. It's an ethical responsibility. The editor needs to be ethically conscious of how you need to discover the truth of the text, behind which is the intent of the author. Say the author is dead or not, but the text is keeping the author alive, isn't it? And within that text, what is it that the creator tried to say? And is maybe a certain word, a change in a certain word might improve it, but is it really improving it? I have to ask myself that question. I cannot impose my own understanding of it and put it on the text in a dominating fashion. So I will have to coordinate and identify with the intent of the writer as much as it is possible, right? And my third eye of the editor will have to humbly tell me, no, you are wrong. This is your ego saying that is the meaning of it. That is the experience of it. What the writer is saying something is something different. But I must tell you that as an editor, when I'm coming across a whole lot of submissions, many of them are translations as well, right? And sometimes I feel when I'm reading a translation, I say, oh my God, it's so beautiful, right? That it's reading so well and it means so well, etc., etc. Aesthetics are wonderful. Aesthetics is very important. What is the impact? What is the aesthetic appeal of that particular piece, right? It's very important in literature. So I am thrilled about it, and I would say, okay, we are including this. And once in a rare while, one would feel, oh my God, it looks as though behind this translation, there is a very powerful poem. But the translation has, somewhere um, ruined it. And some words are, not play. They're sort of making the poem go in a different direction from what. And believe it or not, that feeling comes in that the subliminal, text is something else. So I have actually gotten in touch, if I can, with the original, and then get a third person if you don't know the language, and try and see matched with the original. And many times it happens that that feeling is correct, and you say, yeah, so there you are. The original was saying this, but the translation has got into a different direction. So that's when I feel very good and I pat myself on the back. But there are also times when I see that the translator has failed because the original is not good, right? That also happens. So it's a very tricky job. But in your own writing, it is different. So you're talking about the comparative thing. In your own writing, you have the freedom to write, rewrite, cut it off altogether and start all anew, or just change the words. Sometimes you fall in love with words which have nothing to do with the content in a big way. But the words look nice, so you want to retain the words, which is not how it should be. So then how do you dismiss those words? How do you take them out? It's very difficult to do that, you know. But then you have to become an editor of your own poetry, right? And then you have to work it out. How, even if the words are very beautiful, sorry, please, we have to take them out, right? So that also happens. But the primary thing is, in some ways, obviously, you have a greater freedom as a creative writer to do something to the text than as an editor to intervene in the rewriting of a poem or a short story or even an article. So you have to, in the article also, you have to see what is the point of view that is being presented by the writer of the article, and carry that through, even if as an editor you don't agree with it. So, but that's the training of your mind then. Then you have to train your mind that even if you do not agree, respect the other person's opinion as an editor, and respect the other person's argument, as long as it is logically presented. If it is not, then you might ask the writer to please look at it and, substantiate it properly. So that's the job of the editor.
Yeah. So if you have any questions, please unmute yourself